But I think we didn't talk to Abel, right? The person you saved from the Electro-Priest monastery, the servant of the Omnissiah who calls himself Abel Hunuman, staring intently at a cogitator's vidscreen. Wires connect the sacred computing machine to the augmatics inside the prayerfully bowed heads of murmuring servitors. Abel looks up to you. After a lengthy silence, he looks away and says stiffly, "The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends." "Right, how are you feeling, Abel?" The Tech-Priest stares intently at his feet for a while, then says in a halting voice, "The running of the Baneric protocols was locked down and dissolved in false commands. The filter has separated the correct signals from the incorrect. The running has been restored to its swiftness." They have such a funny way of speaking. Pasqal speaks softly, as though trying to match the inflections of Abel's voice. Tech Brother Abel has passed the diagnostics. The pernicious influence of the sacrilegious procedures has been completely eliminated. Statistically, most survivors of schismatical infections are left with severe cognitive impairments. However, Tech Brother Abel's mind, being of a less typical nature, has not been damaged to so great degree. What does less typical nature mean? Are you neurodivergent? "So, why do you, Abel, and Pasqal have the same name?" Abel freezes. His box synth, barely audible through the static, come the words, "The name of the names is not an index to the text. The naming of the names is the text." I don't get that. Abel's answers can be enigmatic. His mind works differently from ours. He thinks in harmonic imagery and notices symmetries and proportional relationships in the world around him. Poetry would be the close analogy how he perceives and interacts with reality. It's really cool. Yeah, sounds really like being neurodivergent or maybe even some kind of autism. "Well, gotta say, I never imagined there could be poets among the Tech-Priests." Pasqal looks surprised. Why not? Technolingua is rhythmical and possesses a broad semantic scope. Some of its most sonorous dialects lend themselves well to individual and symphonic declamation. Interesting. I wonder how it sounds. "So, Pasqal, do you understand what Abel's referring to?" Negative. However, I will hypothesize. Tech Brother Abel is seeking to convey the idea that our matching identifiers are not the key to some vital data points. They are, in an end of themselves, the vital data point. At this stage of my analysis, I can draw no useful conclusion from this proposition. However, the very fact that Tech Brother Abel is trying to hint at something points to him either being better informed than I am, or having conducted a more in-depth analysis of the situation. That is useful information. "Alright, Abel, could you please explain what you mean?" Abel relaxes a little. His gaze drifts to the side. There's silence. "Are we overthinking it? It doesn't matter why your names are the same. What matters is they are the same. Is that what you mean?" Abel looks sideways at you, and at once his transfixed stupor is gone. At this point in time, the cycle's been broken and reshaped into a rising spiral, as Armanet envisioned. I don't get him. When hearing his mentor's name, Pasqal lets out a raspy, static-filled sigh. They are connected. My hypothesis regarding Abel's connection to the blessed Armanet has been confirmed. But I wonder in what way. They work together, or... Also interesting that Abel doesn't seem to have any mechadendrites. Sighing, Edward points to the cogitator. What are you working on? Catch the soul of the light in the solar wind. We look for the footsteps the Omnissiah left when you walk the desert. The soul of the light in the solar wind? What? This is the romantic computation procedure. Depersonalized minds of the machine servants are in a data dream, processing enormous arrays of assorted data and aggregating them. Virtually all results of such synthesis are scrap data, but occasionally we've noted coincidences whose exactness defied logic. It is an extremely rare and venerated form of statistical augury. Tech Brother Abel is adept at this form of appealing to the Adeptus Mechanicus. So, why do you do it? It is how we execute the quest for knowledge in the hope that the machine god grants us an epiphany, so that we may discern a logical connection in a mass of absolute data, which will propel our comprehension forward. So basically, they're just scouting huge amounts of data. They're basically data scientists. Edward inspects the sacred machine. The hair has been removed from every servitor's head. The bulky cerebral augmentics cover their skulls like helmets. The faces of the cogitator's servants are blank. Their eyes are closed. The lips are incessantly whispering what sounds like gibberish. Hundreds of lines of symbols containing information scroll down the cogitator's vidscreen. Abel Hunuman peers at it with voracious interest, sharp contrast to his usual placidity. Edward looks for logical connections within the data. I don't know how I should solve that if there are two tech priests who are way better at doing that, but well. Logic succeeded. Most of the runes are devoid of any meaning, but you notice a few among them that combine into formulae and computational graphs. Abel peers at you inquisitively, shifts his gaze to the vidscreen. You could swear that a smile lights up his face under his repository augmentic. Crystal is exquisite in clear water. Deviation from the cycle's trajectory has been increased, as was Amarnath's wish. So, they found something, I guess? Even lowers his head. His vox synthesizer broadcasts a binary hymn you do not recall having heard before. It sounds is full of vibrant energy, and its precise rhythm is nothing short of pleasing to the ear. A rare thing for the language of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Pasqal explains, with an inexplicable air of pride, Tech Brother Abel has been dedicated a lesser aria to you. The piece is distinguished by a high degree of acoustic harmony, and is fit to use as a motto, auxiliary identifier, or epitaph. Oh, he sang for us. Cute. Throw it out of airlock. Why? He's just a tech priest singing. And Edward bows to Abel. I thank you for the generous gift. The gift is disproportionate, but it does signify a personal affinity. Oh, is this a way of saying I like you? Alright, my interest in the subject has been exhausted. Abel goes back to intently watching the calculations. His eyes are light with curiosity. And Edward turns to Pasqal. Did you hear what Abel said? It seems we have contributed to Amarnath's design and deviated from the cycle. So, what does that mean for you? A low, guttural sound rises from the depths of Pasqal's vox synth, as though the planet's tectonic plates are shifting and crushing each other. The mighty rumble brings forth words imbued with power. We follow a path charted by great minds, but that path leads to dark places. The cycle of the advantage of predictability. Abandoning it will plunge the collective into a perilous space of uncertainty, which will inevitably lead to disasters and the risk of universal annihilation. The doctrine of discontinuing the cycle may herald good things to come, but maybe a death sentence. Only the Omnissiah knows all and comprehends all. Others are mere prophets who interpret his wisdom as far as their own comprehension permits. But I mean, I like this heretical thought of actually trying to change things and understand things. It's cool, Abel died for me. Oh, true, you didn't save him. See, we could save him. It wasn't a bad decision, so far. I like the fourth sentence, I think I'm going to take that. You know, disaster is just another word for a new opportunity. Not missing it is what it's all about. The statement is true. Crisis motivates a system towards growth and elaboration. The more unbearable the test, the more honest will be the mind's appeal to the Omnissiah's wisdom, the more stable the response. A tone of thundering profundity drains from Pasqal's vox, giving way to familiar sibilance. I must take my leave. Abel immediately looks away as if he has lost all interest in you, but then his vox crackles, barely audible. I'm glad to see you. Oh, I like Abel. Okay, we have a new member, so more dialogue, I'd say. No jive.
Allow me to thank you again for helping me with the cargo, Sherin. I am sure the Ashmags who squirreled away my goods won't give up so easily, and I'll hear more about their scheming yet. Let's strike a deal, Sherin. I will watch your back, if you do me a favor and watch mine. Well, enough jokes. Is there something you wanted?
Well, the woman laughs melodically. You know, you don't look like the typical smuggler.
No truer words have ever been said. I'm far more exciting than some small-time peddlers from Footfall. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Jai Amira Fatqin Tamiri Ash Ifrit, the 12th daughter of the Lord of Ifrit, a distant world at the fringes of the Imperium.
They all have so long names. Interesting, so she's nobility too. Jai performs a graceful and somewhat exotic courtesy.
The youngest child is destined to become a bargaining chip in the family's political games. But I was unwilling to accept such a fate, and wanted to choose what to become and which path to follow. When I learned the Exalted One watches over hundreds of other worlds amidst distant stars, I understood there was an entire world of opportunities beyond Ifrit. All I had to do was break the familial bonds tying me down and escape the planet. Which I did a long time ago.
Very adventurous minds. And yeah, that's what I meant a while ago with her being very, well, deviating. So, why did you choose to come to the Koronus Expanse?
The Koronus Expanse. A gorgeous name, isn't it? But this backwater wasn't my original destination when I escaped, Sherin. Oh no, it was the rumors of incredible freedom that brought me to the Koronus Expanse. Freedom that is generously bestowed upon everyone who can survive in these parts. All doors are open here. You can become a saint, a mogul, a kingmaker, or anyone you like, really. Here, hard work pays off. Unless you're used to lying by the roadside and complaining instead of toiling for the good of your soul, glory, wallet, or whatever floats your boat. I'm used to working hard, and so I found my blessing.
Yeah, she seems a smuggler through and through. Can become everything, even a dealer with heretical artifacts. So, how did you escape from Ifrit?
I convinced my father I personally wished to oversee the inspection of imported goods. I had to get experience so I wouldn't bring shame on our family, didn't I? I made friends with traders, missionaries, and soldiers at the port. I listened to their stories, studied the charts, learned what documents I had to forge to escape the planet. A kind word here, a shiny coin there. And here I am, in the iron belly of a ship, braving the void in search of a new life.
Interesting to leave really everything behind to go for that dream. Kinda cool, kinda scary, kinda very daring. But I think very daring is die in a nutshell. You know, judging by your implants, you've had quite a few close shaves over the years.
Consider it a mark of my trade. This year, Xenos. Dumb-headed orcs. Who knew that we weren't the only ones to get tempted by the wreck of that raider? As for this treasure, I received it as a reward for a life that had been just a little too good. I was in a hurry to get to the Adeptus Mechanicus after the Exalted One blessed me with immense wealth. I was 2 backstreets away from the den when a pathetic ashmag attacked me, envious of somebody else's fortune.
And I mean, she still pulls through at each and every time. Tech use succeeded. You are familiar with implants like the ones that has replaced Jay's neck. It is merely one part of a massive augmentation replacing the internal organs. That throat could not have been the cause for installing such a sophisticated device. He's not telling us everything. Well, not that we can't point it out. Thank you for sharing this.
All relationships are based on mutual trust. That goes for business too.
I know you didn't tell me everything. No, I've seen enough of this shiny wrapping of the Koronus Expanse. Tell me about its dark side. Did we already see the dark side?
The dark side is the real Koronus Expanse, if you ask me. But what do you want to know about it, Shireen?
How do they do things on footfall?
Dynasties drink with criminals. Rogue traders strike deals with the Casbalica, and dozens of ships stop off for a welcome break from a long voyage. Is there a more beautiful place in the entire Imperium? The Emperor is merciful to the meek and the powerful alike. There's a job for everyone as long as they have a head on their shoulders. And if you feel like talking to him in person, the statue of the Exalted One can be seen from any asteroid. You can pray to your heart's content.
It actually sounds kinda nice, how she describes it. Especially after walking the Shadow Quarters, it doesn't match that description. Tell me about the Casbalica mission.
An ancient crime cartel that originated with the first settlers of the Calixis sector. It is run by shadowy clans with robber barons at the helm. Cross their path, and you risk making enemies all over the Koronus Expanse, or even the entire Imperium. As for the agents, they are just shameless, greedy scum. Every third person on footfall is a Casbalican. But that doesn't mean all that rotten filth is acting together. I've been set up more than once just so some Casbalican can get one over on his rivals. And yet, the Casbalica is generous to its customers, if you can afford it. Anything can be obtained, organized, and transported for the right price. The customer is always right, unless they happen to be a rat. In which case...
Jai sighs and throws up her hands. It seems probably like one of the rather unstable factions. Lots of infighting. Persuasion test succeeded. Scum, rotten filth, rats. It is almost as if Jay's mask briefly slipped and she started using words that have no place in the vocabulary of someone from the upper strata of the Imperium. So, are you one of the Casabalica's robber barons?
What gave you such an outrageous idea? Was it my immaculate garment? My gorgeous jewelry? Do not worry, Shireen. I will let you know once I become a baroness, should the Exalted One will it. Just imagine the strong and fruitful alliance that could be forged between a rogue trader and a mastermind of the Kasbalika.
I wonder if she can rise up in the Kasbalika, depending on our actions in the future. How did you become a Kasbalikan agent?
It's not hard to do on footfall. I spent a year working for good old Christo. He was a brave soldier who gave up the ghost in a scuffle with orcs, and then took over his business. Having a good head on your shoulders and keeping the Exalted One in your heart helps to establish new contacts quickly. Eventually, I gathered together a group of honest and loyal people, and it only took a few successful contracts for the Kasbalika to take notice. I quickly settled on footfall and started dispensing my wisdom to my protégés and subordinates. I lost the taste for getting my hands dirty.
She's mentioning having a head on the shoulders quite often. I think it was 3 times already. Yeah, footfall, a lovely place where you have to point out that someone has still the head on their shoulders. Yeah, I wouldn't fight the orcs either. They really sound so chaotic, like you really don't want to mess with them. On the other hand, it seems like they mostly decide who they mess with. Tell me about the occult trait.
It really is simple, Shireen. The Kasbalika runs the Imperium's black market, offering special goods to those who can afford their services. Yes, I am talking about Xeno artifacts too. Alien weapons, technology, sometimes even certain kinds of living creatures.
You know, Alistair, you know more about 40k lore than I do, which is not very hard. Is there a good reason not to interact with Xeno artifacts? I mean, especially if it's just like things like weapons and stuff. Because it just seems like belief in this whole very dogmatic way to think and act. But I mean, Mechanicus still seem to work with it, right?
Unlike the rogue traders whose sacred warrants make them immune even from the laws of the Exalted One, Kasbalikan agents are used to hiding and covering their tracks. Nobody wants to draw unwanted attention, no matter who might take an interest. Especially now that the Koronus Expanse has a warrior of the Golden Throne as its watchman.
Heinrix. Let's change the subject.
Why not? The decision is yours, Shireen.
So, tell me about your business in the Koronus Expanse.
My trade means knowing the right people and non-people, having the right connections, and making sure the precious goods find their way into the hands of my no less precious customers. My wisdom includes the knowledge of the enemies of humankind, be they Xenos or the lowest scum of the Imperium, as well as the latest knowledge about how they charge for any particular curio at the footfall market. Not even the most cunning Argenta will deceive you as long as I am with you, Shireen. I promise you that. Whatever I have can be yours too, if your unfathomable wealth isn't enough for you already, I mean.
I think she couldn't have described her business any more shady than she just did. Alright, cool trader. Do you do business with the enemies of humanity?
It has been known to happen. After years of dealing with Xenos, I've learned their customs, and even got a grasp of their language. Except they cringe whenever I start speaking. Arrogant sods. They dislike even our voices, but they never turn away our valuables. Then again, I'm used to seeing sour faces. In this trade, the easily offended go out of business.
It's really cool how colorful and diverse our party is. So many so different people in our retinue. Alright, all the best, Diana, and it was nice seeing you. Have a good night. Perhaps your knowledge will serve the Von Valencia's protectorate.
I have no doubt you will have to deal with Xenos sooner or later. When that time comes, Shireen, you will thank the Exalted One for sending me to stand at your side.
You have many talents.
Thank you, Shireen.
That
Being able
flirting?
to read and write is chief among them. You may not be aware, but this science is beyond the abilities of billions of the Imperium subjects. And yet they happily keep drudging along in their factories, fundi, and assembly lines. Me? I didn't escape Ifrit to consign myself to such misery. It was literacy that paved my path to copied orders, forged signatures, counterfeited papers. The wonderful things that make the wheels of bureaucracy turn in the right direction.
Bribing and everything. Well, mostly forging, I guess. Regarding xenotech, not really. Most people wouldn't get access to this stuff, but humans can use almost all alien tech without problems. Without problem. The Mechanicus see technology is holy, and all that humans will need has already been created. It just needs to be found again. But again, the Inquisition and Mechanicus use alien tech all the time. Yeah, I mean, everyone seems to be a hypocrite. And heretic also just seems like, I don't know, like calling someone witch. Are you really that rich?
Compared to the rabble on footfall, perhaps. Compared to you,
Raises an eyebrow.
be it power or money, I still have a long way to go. I could purchase one of Footfall's asteroids, but not a planet. I could subjugate a few gangs from the shady districts, but not Vladium. And so the answer to your question is no. I do not consider myself rich. I am not rich enough.
Yeah, I guess that's the main point. But yeah, Jai seems like someone trying to rise to the top or die trying. You could be sitting back reaping the fruit of your own work, so why have you chosen to embrace the That's a word I never read before. I've chosen to embrace the vicissitudes of life aboard a Voidship.
You're fun to talk. I grew tired of scribing endless contracts and agreements neatly tucked away on Footfall. Well, I did that for how many years? But here, among the stars, you are always balanced on a knife edge. Nothing thrills me more than the tension of a warp jump, or the danger that lurks around every corner on a planet. Footfall was beginning to make me fat and stupid, Shireen. I do not want that.
She's an adrenaline junkie. I get it. Most alien tech can be integrated with human technology. The perfect example is the Golden Throne. The Emperor's life support system is partially Eldar technology that they recruit Drukhari to repair it, so very hypocritical. What? The Drukhari are hired to keep the Emperor alive? What the heck? Awareness succeeded. Jai speaks measuredly, with just the right amount of laziness in her voice, but her performance cannot conceal the slight tremble in her voice. Whatever Jai is afraid of, that is what drove her off Footfall. Probably just made too many enemies, right? What about your gang that stayed back at Footfall? Do you trust them?
Do I trust the Trickster twins? By the Exalted One, no. The underhanded rogues of Footfall came up with that name for a reason. The tricks of those frenzied ashmags are all about things far more intriguing than the honest and law-abiding subjects of the Imperium can imagine.
The mention of her fellow cold traders make Jai's eyes shine a bit brighter than usual.
On the other hand, this is why I am keeping them close. Kor and Tora know who lifted them out of the cesspit proudly called the Shadow Quarters, and who has been feeding that ravenous beast their insatiable lust for lucre. No, they are not going to betray me if only because they know I am now a part of your entourage, Shireen. They're not going to let the biggest pie in the Imperium pass them by without trying to get a slice for themselves.
God, what a horrible life. To always have to expect that everyone wants to backstab you. And those who don't want to backstab you just want to stab you. Tell me about the Xenos of the Koronus Expanse.
Vicious, cruel, dangerous beasts. Humans hold little interest for Xenos. We are entertainment for them, a means to keep boredom at bay. A commodity. But some of them contact us once in a while using their own people. Do not deceive yourself by thinking you are safe because there are no Xenos inside. Those Agi are as cunning as they are ruthless. They cleverly pull at the strings of spies and traitors, subjugate those who do not fall for the promised reward, transform the ones who resist their promises into soulless puppets. The Emperor watches over me, and that is why I still haven't succumbed to the fate of many of my associates who have lost their lives to the stringy scoundrels.
That is also an interesting way of thinking, to be like, okay, I'm doing something which is very clearly condemned, but the Emperor is still watching because I'm surviving. So basically he blesses her. Yes, the Drukhari are. This is how they know the Golden Throne is failing. Even the Drukhari are finding it hard to repair now. Yeah, I guess if the Emperor dies, it will be chaos and probably the downfall. Especially with the travel just becoming impossible. Let's talk about something else.
I think we've said all there is to say on this topic.
Do you know Theodora von Valancius, my predecessor?
It is difficult not to be aware of the powers that be, especially ones like Lord Captain Theodora. But we never met personally, as the difference between our positions was far too great. Theodora was a mighty ruler, the center of her own universe, and I, a pathetic commoner, was nothing next to her. But you were kind to me, Shireen, and in my eyes that puts you above your esteemed aunt, or whoever she was to you.
A very rich old relative. I'm so curious about who killed her. It was something from the chaos? But I mean, if it was something from the warp, it wouldn't have been a bullet through the head, I guess. Or at least very unlikely. Damn it, who was that? Let's see how many hours it takes till we find out. You must forgive my prying, but has the esteemed princess's heart been no. Let's not flirt with her, we're staying with Heinrix. Not breaking any other hearts. You know, you keep using words I don't understand, like calling me Shireen.
The language on Ifrit, my home world, is quite different from the one spoken in the Koronus Expanse. We bestow more than one meaning upon each word, allowing our wise men to fully express their sagacious thoughts, and us lowly commoners our base passions and desires.
Is that flirting?
Take Agi, for example. That is what I call every piece of scum and villain, because Agi means evil and foe and pathetic worm unworthy of consideration. Or take Ashmag. It means fool and little brother and blind man who stumbled and would fall into a pit without guidance. Shireen means friend and comrade and roommate in a battle formation, like we are.
From the beginning it sounded more flirty. Yeah, the Emperor can't say anything, he uses alien technology all the time, and if the Emperor dies, things will get very bad very quickly. But the Emperor is a perpetual, which means he's immortal and has eternal youth, he will just regenerate over time. He's immortal? How so? But isn't he on the throne because he's like mortally wounded and needs the throne to be sustained? Telling me tales about your colorful past, Jai, but I feel not all of these stories are true.
Listen, Shireen, the giver of happiness and the dearest of my friends. I am who I am. A cold trader, a Casbalican agent, and your partner. We each have a past, and that past is sealed. I'm not prying into your soul, am I? Well, have pity on mine. It has already been gnawed at by the Argi. And if you don't like the sound of that, we'll just go our separate ways. Deal?
Interesting. That was quite harsh and direct.
All relationships are based on mutual trust. That goes for business too.
Yeah, that's kind of contradicting your previous statement. Well, maybe she wants us to trust that it doesn't matter. Was there business you wish to discuss?
Oh, Shireen, I did manage to spark your interest. Allow me to invite you to a more private place. My words are meant for your ears alone.
His face lights up with an enchanting smile.